I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Global Book Network, we're exploring the extraordinary with an amazing author, one of my favorite guests. His name is Curtis Wayne McCalister, and he has penned a book you're just going to love. It is called The Miracle of Me and My Life of Miracles. From visions of heavenly temples to encounters with loved ones who've passed, Curtis shares awe-inspiring experiences that uplift the spirit. This powerful memoir delivers a message of comfort, healing, and hope, reminding us all that death is not an end, but a transition to something greater. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on GBN. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him on TV today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Curtis, good to see you today. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thanks. It's great to see you too. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you on the show. Lots of miracles in your life. Tell us your first miracle that you can remember.
Well, the first miracle that I can remember is when I was 13 years old. My parents and I were driving home from Liberty, Missouri on I-35 south, and we rounded Glen Eyre Curve, and something, I don't know what, but something made me look to the western sky out the back window or side window, and I did. And what I saw was a Greek-style temple,
Wow.
completely made out of clouds,
Hmm.
floating in the sky. It had a hipped roof. It had 10 columns on its long axis, had two on either side of the massive front doors in front, and it was just floating along like it belonged there.
Amazing. Amazing. That was the beginning of you realizing you had a special gift, a special connection, don't you think?
Yeah, I really do. I
Yeah.
really do. It was a great.
And at one point, I remember you telling me from one of our previous interviews, you were actually able to communicate with your parents or saw your parents after they had passed. Tell us about that.
Sure did. I saw Mom first in 2014. I went to Barnes and Noble store, and as I walked in and was getting ready to ride up the escalator, I heard a very loud, obnoxious girl's voice. Okay, and it was coming from the second level, and I don't know, why, she was booming like that or whatever. I'm sure a lot of people, looked and stared,
Yeah.
but anyway, I went up and I found a book that I was wanting to read. I went around looking for chairs to sit in. There weren't any. So I
Mm.
said, well, what the heck? I'll just go back to the aisle and sit on the floor.
Mm.
Well, that's when this girl did the craziest thing. She came around the corner. She was bundled up. It was wintertime. It was right after Christmas, okay, during Christmas break, and she was wearing a heavy winter coat,
Mm.
a hat, a scarf, and earmuffs.
Mm.
So it's no wonder she couldn't hear anything. That's why her loud, voice was so loud.
Mm.
But but anyway, she did the weirdest thing. She grabbed a book, probably just any book, and come over and sat down right next to me,
Wow.
right next to me.
Wow.
And I was kind of flabbergasted. I mean, why would a 15 or 16-year-old girl, choose to sit right next to a 56-year-old guy who she
Yeah.
didn't know?
Yeah.
It wouldn't happen, you
Right.
know. But she sat down right next to me. We even talked briefly, but but and I figured that had to be my mom.
Mm.
Came back to check on me and everything. Otherwise, I mean, normally a girl is not going to be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it was your mother in her youth. That's what it was, right?
Yeah, she had no parents there either. I mean,
Yeah.
She said to her, I heard her say to somebody that, her parents were going to pick her up or whatever, but I'm sure that was just fabricated,
Yeah.
you know.
Amazing, amazing. Well, it must have been reassuring to have that contact with your mother after she had passed, though, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, it took me years to figure that out.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was her right off the bat. Uh,
right.
I had to put two and two together, and it took me a number of years to do that,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
sometimes the puzzle pieces together in a slower pattern, but as long as you get the message eventually, that's all that matters. You also had an encounter with your father, as I recall. Tell us about that.
sure did. I sure did. I was in church. It was during the minister's sermon. I had to go to the bathroom and everything. I went in and as I was washing my hands, I heard the door open and I heard a guy say, "Oh, so that's what you look like now. I
Hmm.
almost didn't recognize you without hair." And I was kind of flabbergasted then too. I turned and looked at this guy and everything. But as I was turning around, I saw his reflection in the mirror, and I kept thinking to myself, "Why is it so bright around his head?"
Hmm.
I couldn't figure that out. Anyway, I turned around. We shared a brief conversation or whatever, but he looked familiar to me. He looked, the clothes that he was wearing. He was wearing a light blue dress shirt, dark blue slacks, and I don't know, just something about. He had very, very white hair,
Hmm.
not blonde. It was white.
Hmm.
And I tell you, Dad told me years ago that he had white hair before he turned 21.
Wow.
So, and I started putting two together right there, and it just, it dawned on me that that might be him. But when I went back into the sanctuary, I kind of figured it out. I was, oh my God, that was Dad.
Hmm.
Because, you know, he was wearing the clothes he was buried in,
Wow.
believe it or not.
Very
Yeah.
powerful. Well, very, very powerful. I understand your special abilities to see and feel and experience on different levels actually has helped save some lives at your workplace one time, right?
Yes, it did.
Tell
Yes,
us
it
about
did.
that.
Um, well, I had just grabbed an order to go pick an item with my forklift, and I got on my lift. I went down to the end of the aisle. There was a big cross aisle between the sections
Mhm.
at Granger, and when I got to that cross aisle, there was this beautiful vision. Well, call it a vision, but it was right in front of me, about 15 feet away and 12 feet high, something
Mhm.
like that. It was at the level, hanging at the level of level 5 in the picking racks. And anyway, I I saw this thing, and it had a lightning bolt surrounding it,
Hmm.
pulsating in and out, in and out, in and out, and it was
Wow.
see through like smoke, you know.
Hmm.
But it was in the shape of one of Granger's disposable pallets.
Hmm.
And so I was wondering about this thing, and I looked around real quick to see if there was anybody there. There wasn't a soul in sight, not even in receiving, and receiving was right next to me. There
Amazing.
wasn't anybody there.
Amazing.
And so anyway, I covered my eyes to see if it would, it was being sent to my head or if it was actually there. Well, it covered it up. I took my hand away. It was still there, pulsating away, same height, same level. Uh, and and I got off my lift and I got down on my hands and knees and I started praising and thanking
Yeah,
God for letting me see this wondrous thing. I mean, my
sure.
God, It wasn't nobody around, even in the next section. And that's a heck of a distance. That's like 200 yards, you know. And anyway, um, so finally I thought to myself, well, maybe this thing wants me to follow it. So I got back on my lift and I started heading toward where I needed to go. And I went down the aisle, and this thing stayed at the same distance, same level, everything. Followed me. It went well ahead of me, down the aisle, past the first cross aisle, went down to the second cross aisle where I had to turn the corner. Right around the corner was where I was wanting to get my item at.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I turned, okay, and I came into the aisle, that's when this vision disappeared. And there, hanging from level 5 by just the barely quarter-inch wooden lip on that metal rack, was one of their real disposable pallets just hanging there.
Wow.
That thing could have fallen and killed somebody.
Yeah.
It really could have.
Absolutely.
I mean, them things are, 15, 20 pounds, whatever. But
Right.
I mean, if that falls from that height, that could definitely kill somebody. So I got on the radio and I called the order desk. I told them, get out here in a man box right now, because this thing is going to fall and hit somebody in the head.
Right. Amazing. Amazing. Well, that was a blessing that you had that vision and that you were able to take action and that you averted tragedy there, no doubt. What do you hope readers take away from your book, The Miracle of Me and My Life of Miracles?
Well, what I want them to take away is that there's more to life than what we know.
Mm.
All right. We are still in our infancy when it comes to the physics of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Death is not the end.
Yeah.
Because seeing my parents alive, when we pass, we get our old flesh and blood, younger bodies back, and we get to choose the age that we want to be.
Mm.
Now, how long we stay there, I don't know. Maybe forever, maybe, a couple hundred years or whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's just a transition from this dimension to another dimension, a higher dimension. See, we only know four. Well, I mean, they say there's 10 dimensions, but all we know is the first three. Two-dimensional, three-dimensional, and the fourth dimension is time. So, 5 through 11, 2 through 11. And I don't know which one heaven is, I mean, it's right above us. It's not very far up there.
Yeah.
I mean, really. 5,000 feet, whatever. But I mean, it's in a different dimension, and that's it.
Amazing. It's very, very hope-filled. It is very, very promising. It's very, very faith-renewing. I think it's a beautiful message that we don't die, that we actually basically reincarnate as ourselves, or we inhabit a flesh and bone body, and I think that's a wonderful, wonderful promise. I think very, very comforting to people who are ill or people who have lost loved ones like you have and I have, and unfortunately all of us will someday. Curtis has written a wonderful book. It is called The Miracle of Me and My Life of Miracles, From Visions of Heavenly Temples to Encounters with Loved Ones Who Have Passed. Curtis shares his awe-inspiring experiences that uplift the spirit. This powerful memoir delivers a message of comfort, healing, and hope, reminding us all that death is not an end, but a transition to something greater. Curtis, thank you so much for joining me here today on GBN.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate your time, sir. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford. So long for now on the Global Book Network.